Chuck the Wealth Builder, financial advisor, strategist, cash value life insurance enthusiast. We're on Money Mondays. You know, Monday is the day, the best day of the week. I get the opportunity to talk to a dope financial professional, and we talk about some wealth building strategies to help close to build generational wealth and close the wealth gap here today. Today, I am so honored and so happy and grateful that I'm talking to my man, Markeith Braden, who is a personal branding specialist. And my interpretation is that he's one of the kind of people you talk to that helps you to make your brand look good. So I'm happy to have this conversation with Markeith today. How you doing, man? What's going on in your world today?
I'm doing great. Everything is going well. I'm excited. I'm refreshed after spending about a week in Hawaii last week and getting back to hitting the ground running.
Talking about being refreshed, I'm trying to get my refreshment on as well. I mean, we're doing this Money Mondays. I'm actually in Jamaica now, and I'm
Okay.
trying to get my battery recharged so I can be on full throttle coming back, because we're coming up towards the midpoint of the year, and it's a pretty interesting year, and so I wanted to make sure that battery was charged up, because oftentimes I get into the problem where I work hard and I don't play hard enough. So that
Yeah, I
work-life
understand that.
balance is very, very, very key. So I'm happy to have you on today, my man. So can you tell people a little bit about you, who you are, what's your specialty? I like to call it your magic that you're sharing with the world and helping entrepreneurs and professionals, and to be in a better place.
Yeah. So Markeith Braden, born and reared here in Nashville, Tennessee. I like to consider myself to be an individual who loves to inspire, to help people to maximize and monetize their brand. And what that means to me is teaching you how to leverage your expertise in the marketplace to create the lifestyle that you crave. Because so many of us have work jobs and have careers that we were taught and trained to go after, yet to find out after many years of working in those professions or working in those careers that they're not as fulfilling as we thought they would be. And we're looking for opportunity to really leverage what we believe our purpose to be and learn how to monetize from that. And that's what I've done for myself after spending 10 years in the healthcare arena industry here in Nashville. I got laid off in 2014. And at the time, I had a choice to make. And that choice was, do I go and find another position within healthcare administration to be in hospital administration, or do I bet on myself and start doing what it was that I believed that I desired to do, which at the time was to get into professional speaking and standing on stages to inspire people to live their best life. And since 2014, I have been figuring my way out on this journey and building my consulting and coaching business throughout the last 10 years. And it's amazing that it's been 10 years because when I think about it, it just doesn't seem like it's been that long. But I have been building that business for the last 10 years and been full time in the business since 2018. So 6 years now. I've been fully on my own, paying myself each and every month and building a business that I think will ultimately reach $1 million or more a year uh, if I just keep pressing my way towards what I believe God's called me to do.
I love that. They talk about we building your personal brand.
Mhm.
Is a lot about making a bet on yourself, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, could you share like how aligning your personal brand with
Yeah.
your life's purpose has really shaped your career path?
Yeah. I think that for as I was sharing, for many of us, especially if you're in a particular generation, I'm kind of on the tail end of Gen X and the beginning of millennials. We were taught work first, life second. And after living that type of lifestyle, I realized that that really wasn't the best type of teaching. The best type of teaching really is identifying the lifestyle that you want and then finding the work that fits that lifestyle.
Mm. I need
I'll
you to
say
say
it
that
again.
again.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it again. Determining what is the life that you desire to lead or desire to have. And once you understand and know what that is, then what type of work will support that lifestyle that you want or support that family lifestyle that you want. And what I realized was that I was a freedom-based purpose. I was an unknowingly creative who had a lot of skills, who had a lot of potential to be able to create for myself as an entrepreneur, but I wasn't taught that. And so it took me some time after being laid off in 2014 to relearn the cut. In the Bible it says train up a child in the way he or she should go so that they don't, they may get off path, but yet they ultimately understand and know the way that they should take. Well, when the Bible talks about training up that child, it's talking about what is the bent of that child. And so understanding at a later age what my bent was, I realized that the career path per se was not the best path for me. But I had to learn that. And so I think that the best thing that anyone can do today, if you find yourself being unfulfilled, if you find yourself really asking yourself or telling yourself there has to be more to life than what you're currently doing, you have to first evaluate, are you doing something that is in your bent? Are you doing something that is in alignment with how you were created and how you were cut and what you were purposed to do? And if your answer to that is no, then that is where that unfulfillment is coming from. Is because you have trained yourself to bend to something that's not really in alignment with who you were created to be.
So what would advice you would give someone who maybe is working a 9 to 5 job, maybe in
Mhm.
that situation where they are satisfied financially, but
Right.
not really challenged enough as far as purpose? What would you tell someone who is like uh, maybe in a situation where they know that there is more that they could be offering to the world,
Mhm.
but yet they're, I'm not going to say trapped, but yet they
Right.
are in a 9 to 5 and they're looking for a way or an escape on really doing what they're called to do because they don't feel like they're utilizing the gifts and talents that God has given them.
Yeah, there are three questions I like to run past my clients when I first get started. And here are the three questions. Number one, what would you do right now if you knew you could not fail?
Mm.
That given everything possible, you didn't need money, you had the support, and you knew you could not fail, what is it that you would go do right now? Number two, what's the one thing that you love doing so much that when you do it, you lose track of time while doing it? And three, what is the one thing that you love doing so much that you do it for free today, but people would pay you to do it? So those 3 questions get you to start thinking about, okay, what is it that I love doing? What am I truly passionate about? Why am I passionate about it? What is it that people keep asking me to come and do often that I see and know other people get paid to do these type of things? That starts to give you some insight of what your purpose truly is as it pertains to how you're impacting people. Because here's the thing, I think that a lot of times we confuse purpose with doing a thing. So, for example, you'll
Ooh.
hear people say,
Wait. I need you to break that down right now, because I hear a lot of people say that they're not operating in their purpose mission. So I
yeah,
want you to break that down a little bit more, so people can have a better understanding and better clarity around what you just said.
yeah. So, purpose is not necessarily connected to what you do. So, for
Okay.
example, people will say, my purpose is to be a teacher, or my purpose is to be an entrepreneur, or my purpose is to be an architect. Those are conduits for your purpose, but they're not your purpose. Your
Okay.
purpose is the impact that you have on people's lives. So,
Mm.
for example, a lot of people, as I even from college into my adulthood, individuals will always ask me to present, to speak, to sing, to share words of comfort, to sing at funerals and weddings. And I didn't necessarily understand why they would always ask me to do these things, knowing that I had the gift to do it, but I had to understand why. And it's because of the impact that my speaking has on people's lives. It inspires them in a way that I may not can explain, but in a way that they feel. And so I understood my purpose was to exhort and to build people's inspiration, to build people's mindset because of the giftings that God had given me. And then in understanding that, what type of work does that purpose fit? Because whether I was teaching, whether I was ministering, or whether I was speaking on a stage, what comes through is my purpose, which is impact that you have on people's lives.
So I know that you have a podcast, your own podcast,
Right.
where you talk a lot about maximizing your brand. I know you do a lot of coaching. What was the thing that inspired you not only to get into coaching, but
Yeah.
also inspired you to start your podcast?
Well, going back to what we were just talking about, I had to ask myself what comes easy to me but hard to other people.
Mhm.
What comes easy to me but hard to other people? And the one thing that I knew that I could do and that I had always been doing without any training, without any practice, was that I could extemporaneously speak off the top of my head and that I could sing a song. That nobody taught me how to sing. I just knew I could sing. I knew that I could hold a note. I knew that I could catch a melody. I never really get nervous. I have the anxiousness of speaking. It's kind of like when you're a track runner. I was a track athlete as well. When you're in the blocks, you have the anxiousness, but when the gun shoots, I'm good. I know I have to perform. I know I have to run. So I never really had that nervousness or fear of speaking in front of people. It was just a natural gift that I always had. And so podcasting for me was the most natural aligned thing for me to do based on the gift that I was given, and that was speaking. Now, ask me to sit down and write a book, I'm going to have to speak my book,
Okay.
with somebody who can pull it all together, because asking me to sit down and write something is not probably the best thing to do. People always talk to me about, even when I do presentations and speeches, I don't write out manuscripts when I talk. I might write out bullet points, or I may have a PowerPoint presentation with a picture on it that jogs my memory of what I'm going to say. But it's very difficult for me to write out a manuscript to do a speech.
So if you were coaching a client, and recognizing how you started and recognizing how in tune you are to your gifts, what would be the top strategies for self mastery that you
Yeah.
would incorporate into your coaching program once you identify the client that you would want to coach?
Yeah, so I have this method called Shine, and Shine helps individuals to really unearth that which they've already buried. So, because we're so indoctrinated into this culture, right? So, we're taught all of these things, and over the course of years, especially if you're an adult and you're, mid 30s, 40s, 50s, you've more than likely buried your shine.
You got to break that shine thing down. Is it an
Yeah.
acronym?
Yeah, it
Like
is. It is an acronym, and I wish I don't have it in front of me, so I'm gonna have to go off the top of my head.
okay,
But the S is in shine is for us to really, search out ourselves
yeah,
first in order to identify what we have buried.
okay,
What is it that we have buried? So now we've got to search that out and we've got to ask ourselves the right questions because that's all coaching is, right? Is asking questions for people to search out their hearts, search out their mind, what it is that they have buried. And you want to go through the same similar process that I went through. What comes easy to you but hard for other people. We all have something that comes just we take for granted. We all have something that we don't even think about that we just naturally can do that we've probably buried, especially if we've had a career that wasn't necessarily connected to our most innate natural gift. And
I
once we
noticed that.
search it out, go ahead.
No, I said I noticed that with me too. Like you talk about
Yeah.
natural gift, like I'm naturally gifted for strategy. And I
Mm,
think one of the things as a chess player, I'm always thinking two, three, four, five moves ahead. So I think a lot of the value that I bring to my clientele, especially in the financial services space, is looking ahead to the potential pitfalls financially that my clients could potentially face and making sure that they have a strategy to navigate them to help them to financially win no matter what happens. So I think
yeah.
I think that's like a really great skill set that I have, and that is it's natural. I can look at
Mhm.
something and then like, bam, okay, this is the way I would approach this, and this is the way I would handle it from a strategy standpoint. So I
Yeah.
get where you coming with when you say that. As it relates to coaching, right? So if I'm want to if I'm meeting with you right now, let's play this little game like you're gonna coach me, right?
Yeah.
So if you know that I have this gift of strategy, right? What
Mhm.
would be some of the top um, methods, or
Mhm.
what would you have me to expound upon
Mhm.
as my coach to make my genius become more beneficial to the clients that I serve?
Yeah. So now that we understand, you've searched yourself and understand strategy, the E would be that you want to now begin to expose that.
Mhm,
So my first thing is okay, in what areas of your life have you participated in implementing strategy for yourself or for others?
mhm,
And you would go through that list, right? You would go through things that you've thought about that people have called upon you to do strategy, or how did you implement certain strategies in your life to create the level of success, right? And so you would share those things with me so that we can expose that you have this gift, that you have this expertise, because we don't want to say this is what it is, but then we don't have no exposure of you actually operating and using that. Did you just create this and say, this is what I'm good at? Or is there some level of exposure in your life that reveals this?
okay,
As I shared, people were calling upon me to speak ever since college. Even really before college, it was always something about me. So that's the second thing. So we're still there, honing. Now, we've exposed, and I kind of got out of order with shine, but
mhm.
in what way comes natural to you for you to hone the strategy gift? And I'll let you tell me this time.
What
What
come
way have you honed the strategy gift? What experiences in your life has allowed you to hone the strategy gift?
wow. It happens a lot in my client sessions.
Okay.
So when I'm sitting down talking with a client, it's like I can map out that strategy for them from A to Z, usually in one meeting, as far as step by step what they need to be doing, what they should be considering, and
Mhm.
the potential downfalls if they didn't take action on the suggestions that I've made for them. So
Mhm.
uh, that would be one thing. Another thing would be making sure I'm abreast on all of the latest tax law changes,
Okay.
um, um, products that can really help clients to kind of financially win, and also being able to um, expose them to non-traditional ways that they can really build wealth that's outside of the norm of what everyone else is doing and teaching. Um, and I think the strategy sessions where I pull a lot of information out in those questions. I do a lot of series of questions to find out where they are and where they're trying to go financially. And I think that is, you know, I think that's one of the things that helps build the strategy is the questioning process that I've developed leading up towards the, giving a solution. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's good.
a lot of times when we're in those strategy sessions, my clients like, man, you ask me questions that no one's never asked me about as far as planning my money. Like, I see it now after the end of it, but a lot of times they kick and they're like, what do you want to know that for? What do you need to know that for? You know,
Yeah.
so you get a lot of that in the questioning, but in the midst of the questioning, that's really where the development of the strategy really takes place to help them to be able to win and to put them in the position to financially win no matter what happens in the economy.
Yeah.
I think that is a special skill set that I've developed over the last 26 years and that I'm continuing to develop
Yeah.
now to go forth and be a financial all-star, which a lot of my clients, call me, So
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that's important.
Yeah. So I would say to you at that moment, because this is how I operate as a coach. What I actually received was that because you said it correctly, that being a strategist per se, or having the gift of strategy is more of a skill set that you developed, but your purpose, as I received it as you were talking, really is that you're a seer, that you have the ability to see further beyond what your clients can see, but you could see from their now what their future would look like. And that's how you're able to operate in the skill set of strategy,
Yeah, that
right? Because the
I would agree with
strategy
that.
helps you to get from where you are to where you want to be in the future.
And more importantly, like
Yeah.
especially in the financial realm,
Yeah.
one of the things like we talked about briefly before we got started today is like I see a lot of people that do not have answers for
Mhm.
the two things that most of us are all complaining about right now: inflation and taxes. Like they
Yeah.
don't have an answer for that because
Mhm.
they don't have any components of their financial plan that handles that. And it's
Yeah.
one of the things that a lot of advisors don't incorporate into the strategic part of them building, planning, develop, and growing their money. So I
Mhm.
think that's a plus in my area because they don't address it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I make it a point that we do address it in all of our strategy sessions because the way I
Mhm.
look at planning someone's money is that this plan has to work under all circumstances. Like,
Right.
and that's the way you help someone to financially win. So a lot of times
Yeah.
when I'm talking to my clients, I'm not chasing rate of return a lot like a lot of other uh, advisors do because you can't spend rate of return.
Right.
So you want to put them in a position to do those kind of things.
Yeah.
One of the things I was curious about, right?
Mhm.
As I know you talked about your shine method, you talk about a lot of the questions that you ask in personal coaching, and I really appreciated a lot of the insights that you gave to that. But as a personal brand strategist, you
Mhm.
know, that's the thing that you're really skilled at in helping others to do the same thing as well. So one of the things I want to know is like, what are the key elements do you believe every personal brand needs to succeed today, whether it's online, whether it's offline? Like, what is that personal brand, and what is that personal brand strategy that every entrepreneur needs in today's environment?
Yeah. You won't believe how simple it is.
Okay.
It's just really one word. It's authenticity.
Authenticity.
That personal
Now,
branding
let me back up for a minute,
yeah.
because authenticity means a lot of different things to a
Mhm.
lot of different people. So I want you to dive into that a little bit,
Yeah.
because that's the big buzzword right now. And I think so many people use it kind of loosely. So can you
Mhm.
like dive in and like, you know, give us that what that real authentic person really need to be concentrating
Yeah.
on?
When I say authenticity in partnership with personal branding is that it allows you, here's the thing, that this is why I love it so much,
Okay.
that if you really do personal branding correctly, that personal branding and personal brand strategy allows you to be authentically you so that you can attract the people who like you. Who want to do business with you because of your personality, because of your character, because of your message, because of your story, right? I'm not adjusting what I believe people want. I'm only authentically showing up, or I'm only authentically shining through to the people who connect with who I am as a person.
I love that.
That people only do business with people who they know, like, and trust. They do not do business with businesses or buildings or companies. They do business with other people. This is why we talk about building relationships. This is why we talk about networking. Really and truly, true networking is not about who can help you or what relationships that you can build to help you. True networking, as George Fraser would say, is who you can help. That can you attract to yourself that you can provide value to that will help them get to where they want to be.
I like that.
That with personal branding, I don't have to be anybody other than myself, revealing, exposing, and sharing the gift that was placed within me to attract the people who connect and align with the message, the story, the character of who I am. As I
Yeah.
shared right before we got on, I'm building my YouTube channel and I'm only sharing my life's journey. I'm only sharing what I've learned along the way. And, it's not a huge YouTube channel, but there are 250 people so far who apparently have aligned and connected with what I've been sharing on my YouTube channel. Right. And at the end of the day, those are the same people who are going to support whatever it is that you have happening on your journey, whether it's an offer, whether it's some type of business that you're doing, whether it's some type of book that you're writing or a podcast that you're starting. You're building your community of people who are aligned with your brand. So to me, true personal branding, profitable personal branding should allow you to be yourself, show up in the character of who you are, telling your own story so that people who connect to you are your community.
I wanted you to dive into that a little bit because um, you see a lot of scamming going on right now, right?
Yeah.
And people are surprised and they are shocked. They're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I never knew that such and such would do the thing that they did to in their scamming process." So one of the things that you know, when you talk about personal brand, when you talk about, you know, I look at being authentic is this is Jeff Moore,
Mhm.
whether the cameras and the lights are on or off.
Yeah.
I'm the
Yeah.
same way. You're
Mhm.
not gonna meet me on the street and think that I'm some other way, because
Mhm.
you're gonna see me. You're gonna understand how passionate I am. You're gonna see all of those different elements, whether the camera was on, and if you see me in person, you're gonna see the exact same thing. That's the
Yeah.
way I look at being authentic. Like, I'm not putting up no front for nobody. You
Right.
know, I call it the way it is, and that's just the way that I think it is. And I'm not right on everything, but I'm right on a
Mhm.
lot of things. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
the things that I'm right about, I'm gonna let you know. And the things that I'm wrong about, I'm gonna say, well, hey, point me in a direction where I can get some
Mhm.
more information so I can learn a thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wish it was more people like that, because
Mhm.
I meet some people on the streets and I'm like, man, I never thought that person was going to be the way that they were based on
Mhm.
what they online profile or their online image, projected. So
Yeah.
that's why I wanted you to dive into that authentic piece a little bit, because everyone has different interpretations of what authentic is.
Right.
And
Everybody does. Everybody does. Because to some people, authenticity is to them is them, airing out all of their dirty laundry, and this is who I am, and this is what you get, and da 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 da. Right. But what I'm speaking to is, for example, uh, many of my clients I've had over the years, they've come to me because they said, every time we see you online, one of the things that I recognize about you is it seems to be always done in excellence.
mhm,
You know, I'm not gonna. It's just who I am. I'm
mhm,
if I'm gonna try my best to have the best camera. I'm gonna try my best to have. If you come on my podcast, we're gonna have overlays and we're gonna have lower thirds and all types of things that can come in the screen and have an experience because that's just who I am, right? And that's what it's a part of just my brand.
mhm.
And people are attracted to that. Some people are turned off by that. They just want to be able to turn on a phone and go with it. And it don't matter what the background looks, it's just them. There are people who are attracted to that. And so being authentic in who you are, showing up how your personality desires to show up. That's what I mean by being authentic, so that you can attract the people who want to do business with you, who want to learn from you, who want to follow you. Isn't it amazing? I mean, that we live in an age, it's so crazy to me. But we live in an age, I was talking as I continue to share on YouTube, where people have millions of followers, subscribers on YouTube, and the only thing that they share is a day in the life. They could be cleaning their apartment, cleaning their house. They could be cooking a meal, whatever. People are intrigued by how other people live.
Yep, that is incredible. You're on Money Mondays with Jeff, and we talk to dope financial professionals each and every Monday. And then today, I have the esteemed privilege of talking to Markeith Braden, a personal branding expert, a world-renowned speaker, a philosopher, a man who follows one of my favorite mentors that was abruptly taken away from us earlier, Dr. Miles Monroe. So I
Yeah,
read in your profile that you was a Dr. Miles Monroe fan, and I
mhm,
immediately said, "That's my guy right there." Because
yeah,
one of the things that I learned from Dr. Miles Monroe, I remember he came to our church and he preached a little bit, and and the first thing that the first thing, the most memorable thing that he said was, he said, find a problem and
Hmm.
start a business. And that
Yes.
resonated with me. I was like, wow. It was like I've never heard it put so simple and so
Hmm.
eloquent at the same time. And
Yeah.
it was one of those kind of things where even to this day, it's like, when I'm talking to people and they talking about entrepreneurship and the things that they would like to do, that's one of the first things I say to them. I'm like, hey man, you got to find a problem within what you want to do before you start your business. So could you talk a little bit about how Dr. Miles Monroe impacted your life and
Yeah.
really attributed to the work that you're doing today?
Yeah. If you read a little bit of that bio, my favorite quote is
Mhm.
what started the business from
Okay.
Dr. Miles Monroe. It said that the greatest tragedy in life is life without purpose.
Yep.
Moreover, life's greatest failure is to be successful at the wrong assignment.
Mm, mm, mm.
That was the spark for me starting in 2014. That I had been successful at the wrong assignment, that the ladder I was climbing
Mm,
had been
mm,
leaning
mm.
against the wrong wall the entire time. The experience was what helped me to recognize that 10 years between graduate school or graduating from graduate school with my master's in health administration and public health in 2004 to being laid off around the same time in 2014. That 10 years of working professionally helped me to understand the impact of that quote. That I have been doing what everybody else taught me to do.
Mm.
Go to school, go to college. If you want to go to graduate school, go to graduate school, get a great job, have great benefits, live happily ever after. But nobody ever taught me or nobody ever told me that I could potentially get laid off and that somebody had more control over my livelihood than I did for myself.
I want you to sit right there for a minute because this leads
Yeah.
up to the next question that I want you to talk about and expand about, and how the role that mentorship played into your
Mm,
career.
yeah.
Because I know a lot of people look at Dr. Miles Monroe and they look at others as being like important mentors that have effectuated and have changed the course of the direction of their lives because they had the opportunity to be mentored or to
Mhm.
have the opportunity to be coached. So, could you talk about, how mentorship has impacted you? And more importantly, I want you to name who has been your most important mentor thus
Yeah.
far.
Yeah, I've had several mentors, and I think people should understand that a mentor doesn't necessarily mean that you have a personal relationship with the person.
Mhm,
So, Dr. Miles Monroe, I never met,
mhm,
but I met him through his books. I
mhm,
met him through his videos.
mhm,
And that's a form of mentorship. That's a form of guidance when you are able to read and listen to the thought pattern of individuals. Bishop T.D. Jakes, I have met him a couple of times, was a mentor. I was able to go to his pastors and leaders conference 2 years in a row, not because I signed up or registered to go, but because I had a podcast. And at the time, I had a relationship with someone who was looking for different individuals who had quote unquote media outlets to come to the conference absolutely free to be able to interview the guests and the speakers and different things like that. So, Bishop T.D. Jakes, I had some personal mentors in my local area. And it's interesting that you asked me that because most of my mentors, guess what they were aligned with?
what's that? Coaching.
My speaking ability. That I was always drawn to people who had a skill set of being able to use words to impact. Miles Monroe, Bishop T.D. Jakes, Delator McNeil, Jonathan Sprinkles, George Fraser, Les Brown. All of these individuals were, to me, iconic speakers, iconic individuals who could take a word and just transform the atmosphere by just speaking words. And I wanted that. There was something in me that was drawn to those types of individuals. Even my personal mentors here locally, they were speakers, they were preachers, they were individuals who just mastered the art of speaking. And so you have to, that's why it's so important for you to search yourself, because you want to find individuals. I'll never forget, I did a mastermind with Dr. Darnyelle Jerby. I'll be going to her conference towards the end of the month again. Um, she reminded us, she said that you want to identify people who are doing what it is that you want to do on the level that you want to do it on.
Mhm.
That I
That's
could find I could find any kind of speaker, but I want to find individuals who are doing it on the level that I want to do it on.
I know that's right.
Who are actually who actually are self-sufficient in their business as speakers, as coaches, as consultants. That they don't, nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5 and a side business, but these people, this is what they get paid to do.
Mhm.
And so I started getting mentorship through books, through buying videos, but then I graduated to coaching mentorship where I started investing in myself. Notice what I said. When I started investing in myself and being a part of coaching programs and masterminds and different things like that to learn how to build
Well,
a
the
successful
investment
business.
in yourself, is going to give you the best return
Yeah,
anyway. I mean,
yeah.
I think that's a life success hack that many people oftentimes overlook, is that you're going to get
Mhm.
the greatest return out of any investment that you're going to ever make is from
Right.
your own self, because you are your greatest asset and you are your greatest investment. So I love how
Yeah.
you kind of wrap that around with that. I know we talked earlier before we jumped on, and
Mhm.
when I mentioned where you were and where you were from, I mean, like your eyes like just lit up. I mean, it's like you just lit up. Like you was like, I'm from Nashville, and I
Yeah.
was like, wow, okay, all right, brother.
Yeah.
That excitement just came upon you. So, like,
Okay.
have you
Okay.
had any kind of like, how has the city of Nashville
Mhm.
influenced your life and your career?
That's a great question. I think that Nashville educationally has impacted me, because I went to graduate school here. I'm a
Okay,
native of Nashville. I was surrounded around a lot of Black educated individuals. And
okay.
so it was quite natural for me to matriculate through education because I was surrounded around that. But one of the things that many people don't know is Nashville is one of the major spots for individuals who are in the industry of personal development and self help.
Get out of
You have
here.
Yeah, you have people like Michael Hyatt who live in Nashville, Amy Porterfield who lives in Nashville. You name it, many of those individuals live here. What's Dan's last name? I participated in his mastermind. I don't if if I only wanted to work with quote unquote white coaches, they're here. Yeah. They're all here. I mean, and we're talking about multi-million dollar personal development, self-help, online business coaches right here in my backyard. And I've been able to learn from them, been able to go to those conferences. Because I believe in diversity and I believe in learning, and some people may not like what I'm about to say, but I went, actually, it was last year, 2023. intentionally did not do any African American coaching programs. I only did um, our cousins, white coaches last year for the purpose of I really wanted for myself to see, is there a difference between the two? Would
Okay.
I gain more information or more knowledge or a different experience from what I normally would do was have an African American or a black coach who
Okay.
was doing great in their business, and the only true difference was the level that many of these white coaches were doing business on. You know, you talk about Amy Porterfield, she did 30-40 million dollars in her coaching business.
Mhm.
You know, there's a different there's a different knowledge base or a different type of relationship building that they have been able to master that I haven't seen within our culture to master yet.
Okay.
To do that level of business, just as an online business coach. Um,
What do
the
you think
level of
attributed to that?
um, I think it's a good question. I just think that they have a willingness, and I don't know how this may sound, but they have a willingness to work with each other in business. And when I say that, I say that if you have followed some of the individuals that I just mentioned, who I've bought their courses,
Okay.
9 times out of 10, when they do have courses, when they do have offers, when they do have programs, all of them are promoting those programs as affiliates.
Right.
You'll get emails from all of them based on whatever the individual is offering. So not only are they doing business with each other, but they're getting paid off each other's programs because they have these communities that trust them to say, hey, if you're looking to build an online course, here's Amy Porterfield's program. She's having a workshop, she's having a webinar, so on and so forth. If you sign up, they're going to get their 10-20% from helping sell in the course of Michael Hyatt or Amy Porterfield. I don't know that I see that with us
Enough in
as
our
much.
community.
Yeah. That there's no
That's
I don't
interesting.
think that you can build a 30, 40, have a 30 or $40 million year without that. Not as a business coach.
Okay. So do you
That
think
yes, you could do 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, but to get into that 20-30 million, you've got to be able to have those type of relationships where everybody is not, what's the word? They are not, it's not selfish, that they are willing to promote you
okay.
and what you're doing
Mhm.
just as much as they're willing to promote themselves.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that the difference, one of the things that you're saying differently in white coaching programs as opposed to black coaching programs is that you see a lot more collaboration over
Yeah.
competition.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it.
Is there any other because I want someone I want a coach, I want a personal brand strategist. I
Mhm.
would like a financial advisor who might watch this on YouTube or watch this on any
Yeah.
other platform to see this and get some value out of it. If you're experiencing that there is more collaborating,
Mhm.
opportunities in the other communities as opposed to ours, like what are some of the things or what are some of the pitfalls that you're seeing us make that you haven't
Yeah.
seen in those other communities?
Here's what I'm saying. The information was the same.
Okay.
But when I say collaboration, if I have a community, let's say I have a community of 25,000 people on my email.
Right.
Those 25,000 people trust me. That if I say, if you're ready to get your financial life in order,
Mhm,
Jeff Moore's program is the program to be in.
mhm.
If I say that to my community, then my community is going to check you out because I said so.
I got you.
And a percentage of my community is going to actually buy what Jeff is offering. The information was the same, the strategy was the same. But do we have enough confidence in ourselves to promote somebody else knowing that they can make millions of dollars just because my community trusts me and I referred them to you?
I know I do a lot of that. I would like to see more of it.
Yeah.
Um, I think that um, one of the things the biggest error I see in this area is that uh, people want all of the loaf,
Mhm.
not recognizing that some of the loaf is better than none of the loaf. So
Right.
I think a lot of us get caught up in that part of it.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and I think a lot of us really need to be more intentional on exceeding value. Like
Mm.
I want when people, I recently had a started doing these cash value wealth building. We had our first conference last April in Philadelphia, and my intention was to deliver not only a educational experience, but for people to walk away and be wowed.
Yeah.
And in some regards, I think we did a great job at it. In other ones, I look at some specific improvements that we're going to make at the next event when we do it. But I think I'm on the right road to being able to deliver and exceed expectations as far as putting out great financial content, because I see that, when we talked about what Miles Monroe said earlier is a find a problem and start a business. I'm looking at that as being one of the biggest problems that we have, not just in the Black community, but in all communities, is the lack of good financial information. So
Yeah.
what I'm working on is this, is to is to exceed expectations and deliver and over deliver, as getting people to understand what's going on with their money so they can know what to
Right.
do.
And
Um,
and let me say this, also be willing to serve to learn. So I mentioned that I was going to Dr. Danielle's Derby Harmon's conference. I'm able to go this year because I volunteered to serve, because one of the things that I wanted to do was I wanted to see the behind the scenes of how do you have a profitable $1 million conference. She's known for being able to generate, over $1 million just from her live conference, uh, enrolling people into her group coaching and other services programs. And I'm like, okay, I want to learn how to do that. I want to see the behind the scenes. I want to know how is she able to, have a live event where most people who have live events, they're in the red. How's she able to have a profitable live event and enroll individuals to the tune of over $1 million from a 3-day conference?
I love that. I'm actually that's my phase. I'm volunteering for two conferences this year because I want to see the exact same thing that you
Yeah,
just said. So
yeah.
I love that you said that as well. I want to circle back around to building this personal brand, right?
Mhm.
So could you just break down some of the key components of what a strong personal development brand identity
Mhm.
is, and
Yeah.
why is it crucial for success in business today?
Yeah, and so let's just go back to shine and walk through it. So we're searching out ourselves, we're
Okay.
honing the gift. The
Okay. So
I,
start small. Okay.
yeah, the I is inspire. So now that I know, who I am, what it is that I have to offer, and I'm honing the gift. Who am I called to inspire? And key, it's not everybody.
Mhm.
Who are
You
you
serving
called to?
everybody, you ain't serving nobody.
Right, and so one of the things that I had to work through and really just recently got to, understand it, that I'm really called to, Gen Xers who are career professionals, but yet have a level of expertise that they could get paid to do it. That I'm called to those individuals who were just like me, that they are on a job, in a career, ready to make a transition, but really don't know how to leverage their expertise in the marketplace today. And I'm very specific about Gen Xers because Gen Xers really are the generation that's caught betwixt and between the baby boomers and the millennials. We got both sides. We were able to learn from those baby boomers how to conserve and get an education and how to work, but we also were the uh, inceptors, or we were on the inception of internet, um, reality TV, all of these things, right, was coming to birth at the time that we were teenagers
Mm,
going into college. And so we have the mindset of both worlds, and we're seeing in our late 30s, in our 40s, we're seeing in our 40s that the concept that we were taught hasn't necessarily been to our greatest benefit. So now we have to learn this if we're going to have the latter part of our years be more profitable, more engaging, and have more life. We've got to now really embrace the idea of the marketplace today, developing our expertise, learning how to build a business from our expertise, learning how to leverage that online, and learning how to live a freedom based lifestyle. Because many of us have grown kids at this point, if you're in your mid 40s, late 40s. And we have the time and the effort now to be able to do that. And so, inspire. Who am I called to inspire? If you're a quilter, if you're a baker, if you are an electrician, if you're a plumber, you can go online and find a whole community of people who want to do what it is that you've already mastered. Now, can you teach that to somebody who wants to learn how to do that for themselves? So, inspire. Who you called to do? So, SHIN, noteworthy. What is it that you're going to be known for or have a noteworthy name for? You got to really define that. You really got to, what they call, come in and have a unique value proposition that in your future, your name will be known for what? That my legacy, these are simple questions, simple statements, but sometimes we don't even think about them. Sometimes we don't even sit down and ask ourselves, what is it that my name will be noteworthy for? That after I'm gone, this is what people will say I contributed. This is the impact that I will make in the world. And then the E in shine is exploit. Sometimes that can have a negative connotation. But in this situation, you want to exploit all of what you have to offer. You want to exploit it so that people can connect to it. So that people can, because a lot of people confuse branding and marketing, but really marketing pushes, branding pulls. So the exploit part is the marketing. Now people need to know. Start the podcast, get on the stages, have a YouTube channel. However your gift is best fit, I need to put that out. I need to start marketing that out to people so that they understand what it is that I have to offer, who it is that I am. That's where that whole shine method comes into play. You have to walk through each one of those steps so that you can shine, so that you identify your shine, so that you can exploit your shine, market your shine, brand your shine. Notice I have not mentioned or said anything about aesthetics. Because here's the thing, you can have a profitable business and not be aesthetically pleasing if you understand those 5 things that I mentioned.
I was listening to that. I was listening to your shine method, and while you was going through it, in the back of my head, I was thinking about the aesthetics because, like, I'm in Jamaica right now, and it's getting
Mhm.
dark, and I'll have no lighting, and it's like it's getting dark on my side of the equation, and I was thinking like, oh my God, what is the effects that's going to have as we're doing this interview right now? And then you hit me with the shine, so I was like, all right, so I'm still going to be able to shine in the darkness over here.
Mhm.
So
So, because guess what? The video here's what people don't even understand when it comes to video. People can stand seeing something that's not as aesthetically pleasing, but they can't stand listening to something that doesn't have good audio.
that's the truth.
They will turn you if the audio is terrible, they'll turn it off. But if
Mhm.
the audio is good and the video is not that good, they'll stay on and listen because of the value that's being offered.
Here's a question that I'm curious about. There's a lot of so-called development coaches and
Mhm.
personal brand specialists. If you were a newcomer coming into the field, like what advice would you give them to differentiate themselves and stand out in a crowded market? Because it seems like this market is really, really crowded right now
Yeah.
with everyone doing personal branding and coaching and being speaking and all of those different things. What advice would you give a newcomer?
Um, when you go to the grocery store and you walk down the bread aisle, you see Sara Lee, you see um, keto, you see all these breads. When you go down the frozen food aisle, you see Haagen Dazs, you see, I love, what is it? Jesus, I don't know why I can't think. You see Jenny's,
Mhm.
you see all these various brands.
Okay.
They didn't think it was overcrowded. But what's the major difference? And I'm gonna keep harping on this and keep harping on this and keep harping on it. You are the major difference.
Mhm.
That Haagen-Dazs does not taste like Jenny's. Jenny's doesn't taste like Haagen-Dazs. Um, what's the one brand that a lot of people like today? I don't know why it's slipping my head. I can't even eat it no more because if I eat it, it gives me a lot of gas. But people love it. All I'm saying is that if you continue to think that the market is crowded, if you continue to think that too many people are already doing what it is that I have to offer, then you're right. Then you're right. But if you see what it is that a lot of people are offering and you identify, well, what is the one slight difference that I have to offer? Then that is what's going to make the difference. Is that it has to be a small little twist to it. There's something that's different about you that the other person doesn't have.
So
It's really that simple.
let me rephrase the question then. So
Yeah.
if someone was new coming in as a personal brand specialist, coach, or a speaker, what advice would you give them?
The advice that I would give them is to identify what it is that you want to offer, identify who it is that you're called to offer it to, and third, offer it. I mean, I'm being very serious. Offer it, because when you offer it, you'll see whether or not the market desires it. You'll see whether or not the market will purchase it. You'll see whether or not the market will receive it. If you find out that they don't, it doesn't mean that you're don't offer or proceed with the business. It means that you start to now evaluate what they're telling you that they need in order for you to be successful in business. And you know, because I didn't ultimately want to be a personal brand strategist. I ultimately wanted to just simply be a speaker. But what was happening as I was speaking was people kept asking me the question, well, how is it that you started to get paid to speak? How did you get on this stage? You know, what is it that you did to start getting known to become a speaker? Well, there were other people who were podcasting. There were other people who were coaching. Why aren't they asking them? They're not asking them because they saw me. I was willing to I was willing to identify what my gift was. I was willing to identify who I wanted to offer it to, and I just offered it. That I think that we do feel like sometimes that it has to be this big old strategy sometimes. And it
Mhm.
really doesn't have to be. If you don't put it out there, you'll never know. Most of the great businesses that we see today who are multi-million dollar business, Fortune 500 companies, they didn't get it right in the beginning, but they kept tweaking it. They kept adjusting it. They kept evaluating it. They kept identifying what it was that the customer wanted. Here's a great example, and you know I know we're going on time. The pandemic hit in 2020.
Mhm.
My business got hit big when the pandemic hit, but I have been doing podcasting since 2015. All of a sudden, when I thought the business was going under, I started being reached out to by nonprofit organizations through relationships that I had with individuals who were part of those organizations who still wanted to have their normal fundraising events, but they couldn't do it in person because I was seen as a podcaster influencer. They started asking me whether or not they started asking me if I could help them do virtual events so that they could still have fundraisers. To date, since 2020, my number one revenue stream is virtual production.
Wow,
It's not
that's
speaking, it's not coaching, it's virtual production consulting.
that's awesome. So on this podcasting thing, right? So Money Money's with Jeff. We are this. You are the 22nd episode, right?
Mhm.
And you know, how do you see podcasting going forward, especially in the personal development space, the coaching space, the speaker space? Like, how do you think
Mhm.
podcasting is going to effectuate and influence those particular markets?
Oprah says this. She says that everyone ultimately is their own media company.
Mm. Wow.
And what podcasting offers is an opportunity for you to be your own media company. It's an opportunity for you to be an individual who creates content that attracts people to what it is that you have to offer, whether that is a for-profit business, a nonprofit, a cause, or wanting to build a community. Podcasting is an opportunity for you to create content and media around what it is that you provide value for to be able to attract people who want to support you in that. I see podcasting as still in its infancy.
Mm.
I started in 2015, but if you started today, you still have an opportunity to really build a great business or a cause, or like I said, a community, by just learning how to create content through podcasting to engage people based on a topic or based on a niche which you have passion for. And it might change. I have not had an episode in my own podcast for really almost 6 months because I took a break. But I have 300 episodes out there for people to consume. And they're still consuming it every single day. So I used to say content is king. Really, clarity is king because you got to be clear on what it is that you want to offer and what your message is. But content is really next to being clear, because that is how you're going to attract people to your business as a financial guru. That's how you're going to attract people to your business. Even if the Fortune 500, 100 companies are doing it, why would you think you don't need to? Whether
That's a
it's a
bar.
YouTube channel or a podcast, you want to be creating your own media if you want to be successful in this market, I believe. As a coach, consultant, speaker, online entrepreneur, yes, you want to have a podcast, have a YouTube channel, some type of media outlet outside of social media.
You're on Money Mondays with Jeff. We talk to dope financial professionals on wealth building strategies that they can use to close the economic gap here in America. Kind of summing it up. We're coming down the pike here. Got a couple more questions. And I know this has
Mhm.
been a serious conversation. I've enjoyed every minute of it. I want to know a little fun fact about
Yeah.
Markeith Braden. Like, what is a fun fact about you that not too many people would know?
A fun fact about me that not too many people will know. I have many. One was I was Mr. May in my and not nobody really knows this. I even have the picture, but I was Mr. May and the most attractive men on college campus at Kentucky State University. I
most,
was
most
say
attractive
again,
man in May. Okay.
one of the most, so one of the 12 of in the
Okay.
calendar. Yeah.
Okay.
I was Mr. Kentucky State University in 1999, 2000.
Okay.
Fun facts. Fun facts. I'm At the end of the day, I'm really a nonchalant, low key, uh, just goofy kind of guy at home, talking to myself, having fun all by myself all the time.
Okay.
Um, I mean, it's a lot of things. I love to dance. I love to sing. I love to have a good time.
Okay.
Now, some people would say I probably don't have a good time because I'm not a drinker, but I'm the type. I have the personality where I don't have to drink to have fun. Yeah. So,
What was one question that you wanted me to ask you tonight that I didn't?
um, you had some great questions. You had some great questions. I think a good question would be is, what is the path to financial freedom as an online entrepreneur?
So what is the path to financial freedom for an online entrepreneur?
I truly, I think it is my science background kind of helps me with this, and that is your ability to launch, test, evaluate, and relaunch. Launch, test, evaluate, and relaunch. That if you have the ability to endure the no's, the losses, the things that are not as successful, but you keep evaluating and relaunching, ultimately you'll hit it.
Okay. Any final things you want to leave for the audience tonight?
I think the only thing I'll leave tonight is what I shared about Dr. Miles Monroe, and I always end even my speeches with that, and that is life's greatest failure is to be successful at the wrong assignment.
Life's
that
greatest
if
treasure.
if you are successful, but you know that it's not at the right thing, guess what? You're not successful. That true success is measured by the fulfillment of purpose. And the way you fulfill purpose is to self master what you've been given. Yeah.
How can people get in contact with you?
Hey, you can get in contact with me, email Markeith at markeithbraden.com, or you can go to my website, markeithbraden.com. I'm also on all social media platforms at Markeith Braden. That's one of the key things about personal branding. Own your name.
It's been
Own
a
your
pleasure,
name.
sir.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you inviting me on. It
I
was
want to have you come
fun.
back a little bit later. We can dive into part two of this and
Yeah.
really get some more personal development, speaking, and coaching nuggets out there for people that are aspiring to, want to tap in with you or want to do something on their own, want to have you as a mentor or coach. So that would be a great thing to kind of facilitate for a second round to kind of, have people to tap into your genius.
Hey, I'd love to come on again.
So I want to close out tonight, Money Mondays with Jeff, where we talk to dope financial professionals, closing the wealth gap here in America and with non-traditional wealth building strategies. I will see you guys next Monday with a new host, and we're going to chop it up and give you some information and value that you can use to build your financial kingdom, to build your financial aspirations, and give you the information that you need that you can succeed. One of the things I always love to say is that when you understand what's going on, you will know what to do. And I hope this platform could be a vehicle that will help you to understand what's going on. So ultimately, you can know what to do. It's been a great day, guys. Having this session from the beautiful island of Jamaica, getting some fun. I apologize again in advance that kind of got a little dark on us in the middle of the interview, but it's all good there, sir. And I want to thank Mr. Markeith for being Mr. May back at Kentucky State. We didn't know that about you. And for joining us tonight. And I wish him continued success and prosperity in his business, and that he will be able to continue to impact the world, given using the talents that God has given him. Thank you again, sir. And I look forward to chopping it up with you again and being a viable asset for my community. So thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
All right. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next Monday with a new guest on Money Mondays with Jeff. You guys have a great day.